There we go.
Taken out of different parts of the world from very glamorous times.
Oh yeah, I just realized I wasn't screen sharing. Yeah, the you're curious about OpenClaw and Grok, go to their Twitter account. I think they posted about it. X posted about it too an hour ago. Probably right. Oh yeah, there you go. Grok and OpenClaw. Grok. Set up. Install. Doesn't give you much more than that though. There's a lot more to it than just running the install. But there's, if you're truly curious, find some tutorial videos. There are tons out there by now. Even automating aspects of their business, probably worth a lot. Yeah, where I'm talking about the what do you call it? The ballroom bunker.
These great classical buildings, they're taken out of different.
It sounds like this thing's going to be truly impressive, like just physically overwhelming. Huge.
Parts of the world from very glamorous times. This is Rome. They like the flat roof. Greece likes they call it the triangles, and you see that. This is a porch that looks out.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
Over the city. Also, it's developed in such a way that we can have military there, but the entire roof is developed.
This looks pretty amazing.
For military. They're very high. They're higher than just about anything else. They have a 360-degree vision of Washington, D.C. They have a massive drone capacity. Not only is it drone-proof, if a drone hits it, it bounces off. It won't have any impact. But it's also meant as a drone port, so it protects all of Washington, the roof of the building. Okay? Now, does anybody... great...
So I guess it's also going to be a drone port. They're drone proof, but it's also going to have a drone port top where drones up. We'll have obviously quite a view of DC. Never been to DC. DC is a very flat city. Do not build high, Washington. We build out when we build. Even that is just limited to a tiny little square, very very small. We don't build up though, which I quite like. It's different for a city. Keeps green visible like everywhere. It can be a pretty green in terms of the color, not in like tobacco stuff. You know what I mean? But it's pretty city when it's clean. Monument in good order and fountains are working and so on and so forth, which he is absolutely doing. I applaud him for it because it's going to be nuts. Indig party definitely looks on track to have very least significant portions of fun, like the reflecting fountain. Generally, all the white surfaces are clean. That's already been done or is being done. It looks good. Looks very good. City is generally a lot cleaner. Very nice. This thing though, man, I kind of it's kind of hard to like get a grip on how such a it from the from the pictures from the call it like the mock-ups here, freaking insane, like gigantic. Definitely dwarfs the White House itself. So I don't know. I assume that's more out of necessity than anything, you know, than any sense of design, aesthetic. So whatever. Guess we what we get. Curious how they'll be able to pull it off. It does look really impressive, though. And a little overwhelming, but it looks freaking huge, man. Pretty excited to see it. Okay, what else? Oh man, what happened with the? Never, never got a resolution on. Saw this happening last night. This shooting at center in San Diego. Never saw what happened. Who did it? First of all, like perpetrator or plural perpetrators.
Hey, Nicole. I was able to speak to the imam who runs the Islamic Center there in San Diego, Imam Taha Hassan, who I managed to get
Go get my tea.
on the phone a few minutes ago. And he was able to give me a little bit more description of the school and told me that the school has about 200 or so students who attend that school. And he described for me what he had heard shortly after the shooting began, which he said happened within the last hour or so. The school has about 200 students. It has about 20 or so teachers. And this, according to him, and again, not yet from law enforcement, but according to him, there are two teachers or staff from the school, to be more specific, that have been killed as a result of the shooting. That is separate from the suspects that we're hearing about. This is according to Imam Taha Hassan, the imam of the school, saying that there are at least two staff members that were killed and a third security guard that was also killed. So 3 total killed, according to the imam of the Islamic Center. And he was saying it was, a normal school day for the children and the staff. They were given an evacuation order. He told me that there was a church nearby that was able to open the doors and allow for some of the students to get out of this scene, this horrific scene. And he was actually on the grounds of the school at the time that the shooting happened. As of right now, he and all of the students are safe. But the update that he was able to give me just a few minutes ago was that at least 3 people, including the security guard and 2 staff members, were killed as a result of the shooting, Nicole.
Really? Hmm. Well, I wonder what. Hey, mosque San Diego. Range. That's coming from CNN, huh? What?
We got some critical information from the San Diego police chief, specifically the timeline. What he said is just a little over 2 hours ago, authorities were called to the Islamic Center of San Diego due to reports of gunshots. He said they arrived within about 4 minutes, police did, and then found these 3 men victims in the parking lot of the mosque. He said authorities then went to try to enter the mosque, as they often do. They'll try to identify any potential shooter. But then police got calls of yet more shots fired at another area near the mosque. They then went to that location. They said they learned that there was a landscaper there who had been fired upon, but thankfully was not struck by bullets. But here, I have to admit, Jake, is the most strange, bizarre, however you want to describe it, part. Authorities say that they found 2 men, ages 17 and 19, in a vehicle they believe to be the suspects. They believe they died from self-inflicted gunshot wounds. That raises a lot of questions about, A, who those people are, but obviously what potential motivation there was here. We have had this question over the last couple hours whether the shooter or shooters, plural, may have been associated
764.
With this mosque, or whether this was complete, targeted violence from the outside. We did appear to get some indication of an answer to that from the police chief, because he said that they have now brought in the FBI, the San Diego field office. He said they are treating this as a hate crime until they've determined that it's not. And of course, what that signals to us is that that would not appear to be someone who was a member of the Islamic Center there, if they're describing this as a hate crime. But again, a lot of questions here. We've covered, you and I, so many acts of mass violence in this country, so many shootings. Rarely do you ever see 2 people engaged in the same type of targeted act of violence in a shooting. But here, authorities say they believe that these 2 teens are indeed the suspects. A lot of questions about who they are, what the motivation was, and obviously why they decided to take their own lives outside this houses of worship. We often say that there are a lot of questions, more questions than answers.
Sounds like 764. Bills. Well, there's names. Oh, 100%. Yep, look at that. Look at that. There it is. Recognize that shit? That, what do you call it? Black Sun? Something. Wow. Oh, look at that. It freaking. Yep. So.
This is truly one of those very peculiar situations that authorities are trying to get to the bottom of, Jake.
Steve Moore, what was your first reaction to what we heard from police, the San Diego Police Department, about the shooting at the largest mosque in San Diego County?
I was kind of surprised at the fact that we didn't know that there were 5 fatalities until now. It obviously happened in a very short amount of time when and they found the shooters fairly quickly. What's interesting to me, Jake, is that obviously 2 shooters, you rarely get that. The other thing is that I responded to an active shooter one time who went to a Jewish community center. After escaping from the Jewish community center, he shot a postal worker who was non-white. And the reason was he was a white supremacist, and that was fair game for him. The fact that they just randomly shot at a gardener makes me wonder if they had an agenda that would involve I don't know, white supremacy, something like that, that would cause an anger at Muslims, and at the same time people who might appear not to be citizens.
Josh Sherrard, police said.
Well, who did they target at this mosque? Like, even known any details about the victims? Like, female, age? Weird. See if we can press conference.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Let me start by saying we're going to try.
Well, probably coming out the.
Try to cover many of the developments that we've learned over the last 24 hours. We're going to.
About the presser.
Breaking news, investigators just gave new details on a deadly shooting at a mosque in San Diego. The FBI special agent in charge saying that they have seized multiple weapons and electronic devices in connection to this case. He briefly spoke about the writings investigators found in the vehicle the suspects were using.
In the vehicle they used, we also identified writings and various ideologies outlining religious and racial beliefs of how the world they envisioned should look. These subjects did not.
We've got a manifesto.
Not discriminate on who they hated. And let me be very clear, to anyone that thinks that they can end the world through violence, they are sorely mistaken. The FBI, our law enforcement partners in our community are much stronger than you think, and we will always serve on the right of good.
I want to bring in CBS News correspondent Lana Zak joining us live from San Diego. Lana, what are investigators saying about the case today?
Hi there, Elizabeth. We are learning that they have recovered 30 guns and a crossbow. In addition to electronic devices, they are currently executing search warrants on those
Crossbow?
devices as well as some other locations as they are trying to piece together what motivated these two individuals, though they did confirm to us that they have verified that these teenagers were radicalized online. They say that they found each other through the internet and that they had a shared vision for how this country should look and that they had a wide umbrella of hate, that they hated many different groups. When they spoke today, their update, though, was less about them and less about their motivations and more about the three individuals who gave their lives here at the Islamic Center.
Who'd they go after?
Of San Diego, in particular that security guard and the actions that he took and how it saved the lives of 140 children who were inside the school here during the day when that shooting started. Elizabeth?
Yeah, it was remarkable to hear about his brave actions yesterday, Lana. And you actually got an exclusive interview with the imam at the Islamic Center of San Diego. What did he tell you?
Boy.
Yeah, the network exclusive interview.
Oh my God.
we had here at CBS News.
Shameless.
He was very emotional, talking about how the people who died ultimately give it.
We hold them as our heroes. We hold them as people who sacrificed their lives to protect the entire community, to the entire school, and all the kids and the staff and the teachers who were inside.
And the detail about their heroic acts, not merely that they engaged these two gunmen, but that lockdown action from the very beginning, that ushered the kids into safety, that the two individuals later helped to move the shooters out. One was a community member who lived nearby the school, heard the shots. His wife was a teacher in the school. He came running. They ultimately all gave their lives, but 140 children today, their lives are credited by law enforcement, by the imam, to those three individuals who, as the imam told us, they are in mourning as a community and they ask for everyone's prayers, but they really are
reminiscent. Remember about 10 years ago in Christchurch.
Things that have happened over the.
Oh my god! All right, about enough of that. Weird. Let's get. All right, we will pick up.
And CBP.
Tyler Robinson case. Just to hear arguments, evidence, Charlie Kirk murder. Oh, now Putin's going to China. Putin arriving in Beijing for a leaders summit. Xi Jinping. Just a week after meeting with. Did he get the flag waving? Is that just for us? Oh, look at that! They get it too. Same thing. It's pretty excellent. I like it. Okay. Mamdani under fire for attacking Ronald Reagan's famous warning about big government. No, he didn't. Directly? Like him?
I cannot help but think of the words of our 40th president, Ronald Reagan.
He did go there.
He famously said,
"The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
But I disagree. I think 9 more terrifying words are actually, I worked all day and can't feed my family. I cannot help but think of the words of our 40th president, Ronald Reagan.
And why is it, Mr. Mamdani, that you worked all day and can't feed your family? Oh, because it all got taken in taxes. But hey, whatever.
The president also just making news a few moments ago on the Texas Senate primary. He just endorsed the attorney general down there, Ken Paxton, for the Senate race. This is in direct opposition to the leadership, the GOP leadership.
Oh, opposing Thune, huh?
On Capitol Hill, including John Thune, who is backing John Cornyn for that seat. There is a lot of news here at home domestically. The president also.
And Cornyn. Right along with him.
Also just making news a few moments ago.
Oh, that's good.
Country.
Hakeem says he wants to break the spirit of voters who support President Trump. Honest.
I guess part of how we as House Democrats view this moment, either MAGA extremists are going to break the country or we're going to break them. And our goal is to break them. We will defeat them. We have to beat them electorally, and then we have to break their spirit because of the extremism that's being unleashed on the American.
I don't want to break you. I want you to win with me. I want you to win. Stop being a fag and stop being a loser. Like, come on.
People, that's completely and totally unacceptable. I guess part of how we.
Yes, thing. Break you.
Waiting on a little announcement. Did y'all see that?
Not that he probably doesn't need a little breaking. Hey.
As House Democrats.
AG Texas U.S. Senate candidate Ken Paxton.
It is so good to be here. I guess I'm a little late. I was waiting on a little announcement. Did y'all see that? Well, first of all, Carissa, thank you for being here. She's so amazing. You are so blessed to have such a great state representative. And I'll tell you what, I'm so honored to have President Trump's endorsement. His endorsement, in my opinion, is the most significant endorsement that in my lifetime. So when he endorses, it has a tremendous impact. We're already doing
Kingmaker.
Really well, but certainly I have so much respect for the president and so appreciate his endorsement, and I think it creates a slight bit of momentum, don't you?
A little bit.
It is.
What are you doing? Huh? Bag, please. Okay. Good kitty.
So good to be here. I guess I'm a little late. I was waiting on a little announcement. Did y'all see that? Well, first of all, Carissa, thank you for being.
The cameras around to the back, so the most.
Here's the Robinson trial.
Charlie Kirk's accused assassin is in that courtroom today, but his defense has fought so hard they're going to flip the cameras around to the back, so the most we'll see is the backs of people's heads.
Oof.
Charlie Kirk.
That's it. Schumer predictably complaining about the ballroom.
While Americans are getting crushed by the cost of rent, groceries, gas, health care, child care, Senate Republicans have spent their time trying to salvage a plan to force taxpayers to fund Donald Trump's gilded ballroom. Democrats stopped Republicans' first attempt. Now, Republicans have a choice. Republicans can drop this ballroom boondoggle because Democrats exposed it and the public saw it for exactly what it was. Or Republicans can keep this boondoggle in the bill. Either way, Democrats will make sure they will have a chance to vote on it on the Senate floor. Republicans do not get to hide from this. Americans can barely afford to keep a roof over their own heads. They should not be forced to pay for a golden roof over Trump's head. And to be very clear, I don't care if the Republicans ask for $1 billion, $1 million, or a single dollar. Every penny of taxpayer money.
How's your girl Nancy? How's she doing?
For Donald Trump's vanity project.
I mean, personally, financially.
Is a penny too much. And Senate Democrats will fight to make sure not one penny of Americans' money is used for it. The ballroom is the perfect symbol of this Republican budget bill. Republicans focused on all the wrong things. This bill still pours tens of billions of dollars into Trump's masked agents, uncontrolled raids, unaccountable police forces. The Republican bill still does nothing to lower grocery costs, lower rent, lower gas prices, lower health care costs. That is the contrast. Democrats fighting to lower costs.
Yeah, you did such a damn good job of it all those 4 years you were in there. Oh my goodness. So good.
Republicans fighting to launder Trump's corruption through the federal budget. So let Republicans rewrite the text. Let them change the number. Let them try to hide the ballroom after they got caught.
How do you hide a ballroom? That is the most preposterous allegation I've heard from the king of preposterous allegations, mind you.
The truth will not change. Donald Trump sees
no one was hiding that shit.
Americans' money as his money. He somehow thinks he's entitled to reach into the average American family's pockets, take the money out of their pockets, and put it in his own. It's incredible.
Huh?
Republicans are writing the check. Democrats are saying hell no.
Oh, look. More on soon here.
Just making news a few moments ago on the Texas Senate primary. He just endorsed the Attorney General down there, Ken Paxton, for the Senate race. This is in direct opposition to the leadership, the GOP leadership on Capitol Hill, including John Thune, who is backing John Cornyn for that seat.
Dirtbags.
There's also a lot of talk about Ebola right now.
Imagine actually publicly throwing yourself behind John Cornyn.
A new Ebola CDC quarantine guidance is expected to come out soon. Americans who are exposed to Ebola are being diverted to Germany right now. And Marco Rubio just told...
Oh, they got Ebola?
Just making news a few moments ago on the Texas Senate primary. He just endorsed...
Oh, boy. Speaking of Ebola, piece of human Ebola.
The Supreme Court has now legitimized racism. They've legitimized racism in this sense. You can, in your head and through your mouth, say that it is partisan gerrymandering. I don't know what was in your heart. In your heart, you could have done it to eliminate a black person, a brown person, a person of color from Congress for that specific reason. Now, how do I prove it at this point?
What if you're an idiot, which you are? And that's why I'm eliminating you.
Given that all you have to do is say that it is partisan. And that, so what they've done...
Hear about the color. You're just an idiot.
...has taken away the methodology by which we could prove it. The methodology that Section 2 of the Voting Rights afforded us. So by doing that, the Supreme Court is taking us back to the Edmund Pettus Bridge in 1965 on Bloody Sunday.
Oh my God, he's stuck. He's still stuck. 60s. He peaked all the way back then, 1969. And ever since then, it's just been a slow but steady decline into, well, whatever this is.
The Voting Rights Act, while it was signed in ink, dear brother, it was written in blood. The blood of the people at the Edmund Pettus Bridge. The blood of Schroeder, Goodman, and Cheney. Mm-hmm. Yes. People...
I didn't know that you could...
died so that we could have...
turn into a retard, but...
these opportunities.
Down and done it.
Opportunities in Congress. I'm not in Congress, excuse me, I'm not in Congress simply because I happen to have a fairly decent education. No, I'm in Congress because people were sacrificed.
What?
Sacrificed. Their lives were sacrificed.
Sacrificed.
So that they could get the right to vote. And that's what got me to Congress, through the voting rights.
So I heard a person who supports what the Supreme Court did, and he said the Voting Rights Act guaranteed the opportunity to vote. It didn't guarantee you would win. That only comes at the ballot box. Does that make sense?
Well, I didn't.
But what happened was.
Say it guaranteed we would win. What I do say is this.
Okay, he basically.
It would give people the opportunity to select a candidate of their choice. That's what it did. And a good example, District 9 up in Tennessee. Steve Cohen represents it currently. They've just thrown it out of existence. The only district where people of color could elect a candidate of their choice. Harold Ford had the position before Steve Cohen. Harold Ford left Congress. Steve Cohen got it. Steve Cohen is a Jewish person. Black people were electing the candidate of their choice. The majority of the people in District 9. Well, we ought to have that opportunity. Absent that opportunity.
But what about all the other people that gerrymandered out of having their vote?
You're going to see an exodus, and that's a kind way of putting it.
With your racial districting.
Of people of color from Congress. Probably 20 or more people of color will not be elected. Currently, they're going after Jim Clyburn. They're going after Maxine Waters. They're going after Benny Thompson. They're going after Al Green.
Oh no! Oh no! Not Al Green.
The people who are in leadership positions.
Not Maxine Waters.
And they do it with
money
from the crypto industry. And once they take these people out and leadership.
Is he talking about the crypto industry? What?
Becomes something that you acquire simply by having the most money, we are going to lose because we don't have the kind of money that it takes to beat the crypto industry.
So
when money,
you are backed by George fuck-ass Soros. Fuck you.
Money rules, we will lose.
All of you. Backed by crypto. What does that even mean?
Face to face with an avalanche on Mount.
Dude, it's gonna touch us. I just saw this monster avalanche.
This morning, one climber recounting the moment he came face to face with an avalanche on Mount Everest.
We've been hearing these avalanches all night, and normally they will go on for a second and then disappear. But this one didn't. This one just got louder and louder.
Oliver Foran capturing the video in Nepal as a massive wall of snow comes barreling towards his tent.
Stick your head out, bro. Quickly. No, right here. Oh, my God. It was about 2 apartment blocks high of just snow coming towards you off a mountain. We got away really lucky.
No thanks.
As the avalanche closes in, Oliver and his cameraman race to zip up the tent. Then the snow passing over and around them.
We were probably like half covered in snow, so we just up-zipped the top and squeezed out at the top there. And walked around and made sure everyone was okay.
It's not uncommon for big avalanches to have a large powder cloud, which is really what you're seeing in the video. Those can be damaging if you're close to them.
Oliver and the group uninjured and pressing on, continuing their climb this morning.
Could have ended badly. Woman dies after falling into an open manhole. What a way to go, man. Oh, can you imagine? Like, final thoughts as you plunge into the sewer and die? Screw that. It probably not had your face in your cell phone, my dear, but hey. I mean, I'm just guessing there. She didn't. Maybe she wasn't on her cell. I don't know. Just how else you would do that. rushed to the hospital, but apparently, oh, that's how it. Wow, so she stepped out of her vehicle, like wondering how it happened in the middle of the street there. So she parked like right next to her and popped the door, stepped out, didn't even see it, and just wow. The first night Tina Peters actually slept was the night learned she was beat.
The first night she actually slept since she was put in prison was the night,
like a good night's full,
she received her commutation. But Ash writes that she remains guarded about the next 2 weeks until her official release on June 1st, but is optimistic about the future. And Ash joins us now. Ash, it was quite fortuitous, right, that you had this meeting already set up with Tina. Yeah. You had no idea this news was coming, right? Yeah. And you had already had this on the books. Wow, I think that was a God thing. That's amazing. Just tell us about it. Tell us how she's doing. You actually got to see her.
Yeah, so I had and thanks for having me on, Emerald. It's been a while. It's good to see you. I had this meeting scheduled with her for several weeks, and I have been trying for a year to see her, and I was blocked every way possible.
Yeah, they do that.
Was, there's no media. Okay, can I come in as a visitor, as a friend? No, because we already know that you said that you're media. So no, you can't do that. And it took a very long time for them to approve me to begin with. And then we had this scheduled for May 16th for several weeks. And
like, how is that? I have to say, how does that can happen in the country? First of all, no media. I understand. Sort of, kind of, maybe. No cameras. Like, no bringing a crew and a whole bunch of gear into prison and doing a freaking on camera. I understand that. Serious security risks with equipment in prison, right? Like, get that. But to disallow her because she is media and what is going to talk to her and learn from her, like, what is bonkers to me.
I was shocked. I mean, it was quite the timing to be able to see her. I got to hug her. You mentioned her eyes and the sparkle in her eyes. We had a little bit of a joke because she was complaining about the prison green that she had to wear, but the prison green made her eyes so green and pop. And I'm like, no, this is like, not to say it looks good on you, but it did. Like her sparkle in her eyes is there. It was great to hug her and just to be able to see her and see that she's okay. She is, like I said in the article, cautiously optimistic and very grateful to the governor for granting clemency. There is, there's a lot of mixed feelings on the internet right now about this. I can say that Tina Peters is very happy about this decision.
And I'm sure her family is as well, and can't wait to have her home. I'm glad to know that she still has a sparkle in her eye, because with everything she's been through, they tried to break her spirit. That was their intention all along. And yes, only Tina Peters can make prison green look good. Her eyes are like a little bit of a teal blue color. That's actually at the Cyber Symposium that's mentioned in all of this repeatedly. So I'm glad to hear she still has her spirit. Tell us about Colorado. How is this going to have an impact? Because you live in Colorado. Let's make sure the audience knows that. You're a Colorado resident. You report on the politics of Colorado every day, and you can go to her Substack, Ash in America, to follow that reporting. And also, I love that you do history updates. I read your history pieces. I think they're fantastic. So also, if you want a slice of history, Ash does a great job of doing that as well. How do you see this impacting Colorado? Obviously, you have this letter, very nasty letter from the clerks. What does this look like now?
Yeah, so it's not surprising that we're getting the reaction that we're getting. Tina Peters is, as I've said many times, the most valuable political scalp in the state of Colorado and the most valuable political scalp on the issue of elections and weaponization of government nationwide. I think that the real story with Tina is weaponization of government. There's been a lot of, are we going to get real justice on elections? I'm pretty outspoken that I think elections are fake, and that makes covering the things like the governor's race or Jenna Griswold's race interesting. Puts my analysis of things in a bit of, distinctively against sort of the other local media. But the reaction from Jenna Griswold, from Phil Weiser, Attorney General, who's now running for governor, Jenna Griswold, Secretary of State, who's running for Attorney General, Matt Crane, who is the authority of elections and elections technology statewide and works with the other, kind of NGO third-party associations nationally to craft this elections narrative. It's the safest and most secure. We have no problems. All you people are conspiracy theorists. Emerald, you've done a great job documenting the issues with elections in the various threads that you've done. CanCon and I do Why We Vote on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. on Badlands Media, where for 3 years we have documented the issues in our elections, and we still get this kind of, people saying, oh, there's no evidence. If you had just shown the evidence. There is evidence. There is court cases that have. There's races that have been overturned because of that evidence. It is. Somebody asked me on a radio program the other day, do you still have questions about the 2020 election? And I said, well, no, I have answers that no one wants to hear. The reality is that our elections are theater. We are not giving consent to be governed through a mechanism that accurately represents the will of the people. We can see that in these responses. She's the final kind of linchpin. If Tina Peters is out and talking about election integrity, and I have every reason to believe that she will be still talking on this issue. I heard you and Peter talking about, she can ride off into the sunset. And I'm sure there's a part of her that wants to. But after talking to her on Saturday, I don't believe that's going to happen. I think she's still very much focused on election integrity. And now she has a new cause in terms of prison reform and the conditions inside of the prison that she is very passionate about.
Jacob Free, Minneapolis mayor's goal of Democrats' riots was to stop ICE and Border Patrol in their tracks across the nation. That did.
The goal here was not just to have ICE and Border Patrol leave Minneapolis and go to terrorize some other city. The goal, and every single person felt it deeply, to stop ICE and Border Patrol in their tracks, to stand up for the endurance of our republic, to be patriots. And we saw that by the tens of thousands of people that were peacefully protesting in the street. The goal here was not just to have ICE and
Telegraph can review Chinese platform track journalists the interest to the Chinese state.
Platform. China is tracking me in a database. When I worked in China for a decade as a journalist, the state was
Well, that they were, of course.
always after me. I was constantly followed, even assaulted in the field. Don't touch me. So when a leak of a government surveillance platform came to my attention, I wasn't exactly surprised. Here is the government's security insignia. It says Gong'an. This is for the police to be able to log in to look at all the data on the back end. And here, the name of the platform is the Dynamic Control Platform for Overseas Personnel. This is translated on the platform itself in English from Chinese. So it's very clear what they're trying to do here. Here's my record. There's an old picture from 2021. It's got the country of origin for the organization I work for, the Daily Telegraph in the UK, the name of the organization I work for, my name in English and Chinese, my sex, my birth date, my citizenship, I'm American, my passport number, and Chinese mobile number. And unlike a lot of the other records in this database, on the far right, there's a column that marks me as trackable. When you click into that, that's when you get to see all the bits of data of where I was picked up and found somewhere in China and clocked into the database. The details are really minute. For some of these individual records, you see things like 78 times spotted at this one specific intersection.
Oh, creepy.
Some of these are cameras, presumably, at the entrances of a supermarket, at different subway stations. I mean, it's very, very specific. It's really fascinating and a little bit creepy. One of the interesting features of this platform is that there's a relational mapping tool. You can see who knows each other, who are classmates, who are colleagues, if they live in the same neighborhood, if they live in the same block, if they've been spotted on camera together even. It's no secret that China uses millions of security cameras in cities, even tiny villages, just to keep tabs on its citizens. For years, it's become common to enter places via facial recognition scan, like to go to the gym or to board a flight. This creates a huge amount of raw data to holistically track people. But the question has always been, how well can China integrate and make use of all the numbers? What we know now from this platform is that, yes, China is indeed able to pull everything together and to track people it deems problematic. Like me. The scary part? China could roll out this technology to start tracking people outside the country.
Yes. Okay. Oh, here. Oh, this is like 12 minutes. I know that I want to watch that, but catching heat after bragging on the floor that Republicans are not about to take our foot off the gas after 500 days of doing nothing. Your foot sure ain't on the gas, bucko. Oh, Punch. What happened to Punch?
Of Punch the Monkey, 2 American tourists have been arrested in Japan.
Cool. Yeah. I can set it up. So what happened with Punch? 2 Americans arrested after one suspect climbs into Punch's enclosure. You idiot!
After one
leave Punch alone. Just leave him alone.
Allegedly climbed into the enclosure of Punch the Monkey, who went viral earlier this year for his strong bond with a stuffed orangutan. Officials say zoo staff quickly took action before the person could make physical contact with the monkeys. The zoo announcing they are boosting security to keep visitors out of Punch's enclosure. Do not
keep out. Do not touch the Punch.
Climb into the monkey enclosure. That is the moral of the story.
At first, in the very beginning, you could understand because he had no friends. Right. But now he's got friends. So there's no reason to climb in.
Well, sometimes you just got to let nature be.
You mean just watch it? You mean go to a zoo and just watch it?
Like, it isn't enough for you that Punch is adorable and has a stuffy? And it drags the stuffy around like a friend? You can't just watch that and say how cute it is? You have to touch it? You have to touch it? People. President Putin says Russia and China are working together to bring peace and universal prosperity to the world.
Китайская стратегическая связка.
Or it. Go. All right, let's see. Close strategic. I gotta turn that down. Close strategic relationship between Russia and China plays an important stabilizing role on the world stage. In doing so, we are not opposing anyone, but working for the cause of peace and universal prosperity. It is precisely in this logic that Moscow and Beijing act in coordination to defend international law and the UN Charter in all their fullness. Totality and interconnectedness, support active interactions, UN, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, BRICS, and other multilateral structures, significant contributions to addressing urgent global and regional problems. I'm sure that together we will continue to do everything possible to deepen the Russian-Chinese partnership and good neighborliness. for the dynamic development of our two countries and the well-being of people. In the interest of maintaining global security and stability. See you soon in Beijing. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He basically said. Georgia election watchdog Garland Favorito sending the alarm over what he calls a secret bunker where Georgia Secretary of State allegedly plans to aggregate 2026 election results away from public oversight. Of course. Where else?
Garland Favorito joins us from Georgia. He's got some breaking news here, Garland. How are you doing?
Good, Heather. It's always something going on here in Georgia.
I know. I saw your press release that you put out this morning. We can go ahead and put that on the screen for everyone. And I'm like, I have to get you on the show. There was a press release. Garland says, Atlanta, Georgia. Georgia's 2026 election results will be aggregated on election night by Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger from a, quote, secret bunker, which is off limits to candidates, the public, and even to the state election board members who have requested access. The secret aggregation of election results is a clear violation of state election transparency law, which requires all election officials to conduct all election activities in public. Garland, you're going to have to break this down for me. How the heck is this possible? A secret bunker?
Yeah, so, and basically, first of all, just to state the law that you just mentioned, that the law says in Georgia, superintendents, poll officers, and other officials engaged in the conducting of primaries and elections held under the entire chapter of elections in the Georgia Code shall perform their duties in public. However, Secretary Raffensperger has been aggregating election results from all the counties in this secret bunker that is it is used for legitimate emergency purposes by the Georgia Emergency Management Agency. It's called their Emergency Operations Center. The question is, why has he chosen, and this has happened, we think, for several election cycles, why has he chosen to operate and aggregate the results and produce the statewide results out of a secret bunker? And then why does he refuse to allow the state election board members who are responsible for oversight of elections in the state of Georgia, why would he be refusing them access to this bunker, particularly considering he is a gubernatorial candidate who is running for election himself here in 2026?
This just stinks to high heaven, Garland. So what is the solution here? How do we push back against this?
Well, just between the time that we did the press release and to this show, and this will be breaking news for your show, Heather, but there was...
Lion Eyes 57 in normal chat says Judge rescinded order to allow them in just a minute ago. I assume talking about this.
Was a lawsuit filed by several candidates to attempt to require Brad Raffensperger to comply with Georgia law. Now, unfortunately, that lawsuit had to be filed in Fulton County. And if you remember, the Fulton County judge just in the last 2 weeks allowed Brad Raffensperger to break the law by adjudicating his own challenge to his own candidacy. He was required to send that challenge to an administrative law judge for an official or a preliminary decision. He refused to do that, and when confronted with the violation of law, a Fulton County judge allowed him to continue and reject the challenge without the mandatory required hearing. So we don't know that the
10 minutes.
Following the law.
What?
Lawsuit in
No, you 10 minutes.
Fulton County is going to help any, but that at least 3 candidates have come forward to file what they call a mandamus to force him to comply with the law and a temporary injunction, to emergency injunction. We'll see if the court hears that tomorrow.
It's almost like Brad Raffensperger is just going around like a little, like a criminal, just breaking the law because he knows that he's got this cover within the court systems. It's like he's just completely disregarding it. I mean, is there going to be enough time to sort of reel him in and keep him in check for the election? Because it just seems like a lot of these lawsuits that get filed in Georgia, they stretch out for years. I mean, you know that better than anyone.
Bunker. More bunker here.
Assuming that everything goes as I've been told, an order was presented to the judge pursuant to the petition for a writ of mandamus and a petition for injunctive relief. And assuming that is being signed and stamped by the clerk, it will mean that the election board members will be granted entrance into the quote unquote bunker for the statewide aggregation of votes for the state of Georgia for all 159 counties.
So it took going to court, but it looks like right now, as we have it, with no changes, then you will be allowed inside the bunker somewhere in Metro Atlanta today to observe this and make sure that all processes are going to according to plan, or at least to make observations if they're not.
Correct. Correct, Steve. Assuming that everything goes as I've been told, an order was presented to the judge pursuant to the
Congressional District. Hey, 11th Congressional District, I actually have an update, and I think your prayers were answered. We just got word that when we were waiting on the document, that a judge just signed off on our order from our lawsuit yesterday, forcing the Secretary of State to have observers and our State Board of Elections in to verify the processes would be done properly. This is great news, guys. For once, it feels like we go through this and all the battles and whatnot. It's nice to have a little victory every once in a while. God bless you, Georgia, and let's do this today.
Meanwhile, in Bamberger, executive order to block federal law enforcement agencies from going to polling places. Huh? Like, what? Huh? How does that even work? Can't make this up. Signing a pro-fraud executive order. What else would it be? To help rig elections. Prevent it from being over. Prevent them from caught.
You heard it first here. Tomorrow I'll be issuing an executive order. So, surprise, sorry to my comms team. In ensuring that we are putting out from the state level some guidance across public spaces, including polling places, of how Virginia state employees or people who are working in support of Virginia's state-run elections can react to, in this particular case, federal agents who might be appearing at a location and where the worry is that they're principally there to intimidate or scare people.
Oh, get out.
You heard
freaking tired old ridiculous. Bands.
I want to highlight a little bit some of the work that we've been doing, the great work our team has been doing on the anti-fraud task force, where we have caught just in the last couple of months billions upon billions of dollars of fraud in our hospice system, in our Medicaid system, in our Medicare system, in our immigration system. We've seen hundreds of millions of dollars of fraudulent loans that were being handed out through the Small Business Administration that we've identified and stopped. And we've also started investigating some of the fraudulent criminal activity and also prosecuting some of the fraudulent criminal activity. So the thing that I say to the American people, and I'll repeat here to all of you, is, fraud is a crime that has two victims. It has, first of all, the American taxpayer, people who pay their taxes, who out of their generosity, and because they have to, of course, they pay their taxes expecting that it's going to go to pay our troops and ensure that low-income children have access to food and ensure that people get medical benefits even if they're not able to afford a doctor. I think it's a great thing about our country is that we have this generosity of spirit where we take care of one another, but fraud takes that away from us because it steals money from the taxpayer when they pay their taxes, and it also steals money from innocent people who are meant to benefit from these programs but can't when the money runs dry because it's gone to fraudsters instead of the people who benefit from it or should benefit from it. So we're going to keep that work up. The President of the United States has been very clear that he wants us to focus on fraud. He wants us to prosecute the fraudsters. And he wants us to save the American people as much money as we possibly can. So we're going to keep at it. We're very proud of that work, and importantly, very proud of the team who've done an incredible job. It's actually a very simple proposition here. There are two options, two pathways we can go down when it comes to the Iran situation. So step back for a little bit. What the President of the United States has said is, number one, Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. And I think it's important for the American people and all of you to appreciate that when we say that, it's not just that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, it's what would happen if the Iranians did get a nuclear weapon. We know that a lot of nations all across the Gulf would then want their own nuclear weapon, and then a lot of nations all across the world. And what has been a very effective bright spot of American foreign policy really for the last 20 or so years would disappear overnight. If you have every country in the world scrambling to try to get a nuclear weapon, it would make us all much less safe. And Iran would really be the first domino and what would set off a nuclear arms race all over the world. That's very, very bad for the safety of our country. As the father of 3 young kids, I don't want them to inherit a world where 20 additional regimes, half of them very dangerous and very sympathetic to terrorists, have nuclear weapons. We want to keep the number of countries that have nuclear weapons small, and that's why Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, on top of all the other things that we might be worried about, that they themselves could use it, that they could use it in leverage and economic control or economic negotiations. We just don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. To aggressively negotiate. The president has asked us, has told us, to aggressively negotiate with the Iranians. Why did I go to Islamabad, Pakistan? Why did I spend, I think, probably 22 hours on a plane going there, 24 hours coming back, and then 21 hours on the ground negotiating with the Iranians? Is because we wanted to show a sign of good faith. The Vice President of the United States is willing to cut a deal so long as the Iranians are willing to meet us, again, on that core issue of never having a nuclear weapon. We think that we've made a lot of progress. We think the Iranians want to make a deal. The President of the United States has asked us to negotiate in good faith, and that's exactly what we've done. So we're in a pretty good spot here, but there's an option B. And the option B is that we could restart the military campaign to continue to prosecute the case, to continue to try to achieve America's objectives. And we could talk a little bit about what that looks like, but that's not what the president wants, and I don't think it's what the Iranians want either. We have an opportunity here, I think, to reset the relationship that has existed between Iran and the United States for 47 years. That's what the president has asked us to do, and that's what we're going to keep on working at. But it takes two to tango. We are not going to have a deal that allows the Iranians to have a nuclear weapon. So as the president just told me, we're locked and loaded. We don't want to go down that pathway, but the president is willing and able to go down that pathway if we have to. Well, first of all, I'd say it's a very complicated country. And it's a country that I wouldn't pretend that I understand, even after as deep as I've been involved in this process from the very beginning. It's a great and proud civilization, amazing people. We obviously have a great Iranian American community here in the United States of America, smart people, very hardworking, and you see some of that in the negotiating team on the other side. You also see some very hardline positions in the negotiating team on the other side, and so I think you see that conflict, the fact that maybe the Iranians aren't themselves quite clear in what direction they want to go to. They also are just a fractured country. So you have the leadership of the country, there's the supreme leader, and then there are a lot of officials below the supreme leader that has some influence in the negotiation. It's not sometimes totally clear what the negotiating position of the team is. And I don't know if that's sometimes bad communication, if that's bad faith. I wouldn't pretend to venture a guess there, but I will say with confidence, it's sometimes hard to figure out exactly what it is that the Iranians want to accomplish out of the negotiation. So what we've done is tried to be as clear as possible. What are our red lines? What are the things that we're willing to be accommodating on, and what are the things that we absolutely must have? And as the president has said ad nauseum, and I think I've said it a lot too, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. We want to see not just the commitment to not have a nuclear weapon, but the commitment to work with us on a process to ensure that not just now, not just when Donald Trump is president, but years down the road, that the Iranians are not rebuilding that nuclear capability. And that's what we're trying to accomplish in the negotiation. Sorry, you had
bookmarking. Okay. Cool.
represented what this is actually about. This is about
off of Iran and anti-weaponization fund. And 1.776 billion or something like that. Is that it?
Well, let me say a couple things about that. First, Sean, I think in some ways the media has misrepresented what this is actually about. This is about compensating Americans for the lawfare that we saw under the last administration. And by the way, anybody can apply for it. Republicans can apply for it. Democrats can apply for it. As you know, the President of the United States has pardoned a number of Democrats who he felt were actually subject to this lawfare. I mean, if Hunter Biden wants to apply for this particular fund, he is welcome to. It's going to go through a normal process where we vet everything, where we try to identify whether people's claims are actually legitimate. But here's the question. You say, why should taxpayers fund this? Whenever the United States government incurs legal expenses, it pays out those legal expenses. When it's settling a lawsuit, it pays out money to settle that lawsuit. And the question is $1 of this money going to the Trump administration? No. Is $1 of this money going to Donald Trump personally? No. Is $1 of this money going to Donald Trump's family? No. The people that would get the money are people, some of whom have been prosecuted completely disproportionate to any crime they've ever committed. Like, let's just take a couple of examples. Tina Peters is this woman who is about to get out of prison, thanks in large part to the president's good work in Colorado. This is a woman who, at worst, if you believe everything that the prosecutors said about her, committed misdemeanor trespassing, and somebody threw the book at her. This innocent grandmother was going to spend 10 years in prison, completely disproportionate to any misdemeanor trespassing that I've ever seen. Was that fair? No. Is it reasonable for her to get some compensation for the fact that she was treated unfairly? I think the answer is yes, and I think that what we're going to see, hopefully, is the entire country, led by this Department of Justice, turning the page on the lawfare. What I would like to propose, and I think the Democrats, hopefully they're willing to meet us halfway here. I won't hold my breath, but what I would propose is something very simple, that if you are willing to turn the page on Joe Biden's lawfare, why don't we prosecute people? Very simple principle. Why don't we prosecute people who violate the law? Let's not prosecute people because they said the wrong thing, or because they had the wrong political candidate, or because they had the wrong viewpoint. And I think part of turning the page on that, is to actually ensure the real victims of that lawfare receive some compensation. That's what this fund is going to be targeted at. And again, there's going to be a process to ensure that that money is only given to people who have actually, I hate to say earned it, but the people who actually were really mistreated by the previous administration and Department of Justice. Existed under the The biggest immigration fraud that existed under the Biden administration, it's not just that they let a flood of people across the southern border. That was obviously a very major problem and something I'm proud of the president for stopping. But it's also that they allowed the asylum and refugee claimant process to become totally fraudulent. And so here's what would happen, right? You would take a person who, in normal cases, would just be a traditional economic immigrant. Whether you let them into the country or not, they're trying to come because they want a better job, okay? They would come into the country and say that they were fleeing persecution, and they would say that they were an asylum claimant, and then effectively what the Biden administration would do is say, okay, you're an asylee, go into the interior of the country, here's a work permit, maybe come back in 10 or 12 years for your hearing on whether you actually have a legitimate asylum claim. So what did that mean? That meant that person was just completely given amnesty and released into the interior of the country. Well, what if that person was a criminal? What if that person actually had a violent history? We didn't do any of the work necessary to ensure that the people coming into our country claiming to be asylum claimants actually had anything legitimate or anything good in their background. So that is a serious problem. It is something that we have fixed in the Trump administration, but fundamentally that loophole, you're going to see sometime in the future somebody is going to try to exploit that loophole, and it's one of the things that we're very focused on in the fraud task force is making sure that the people who exploited that loophole are actually prosecuted for it, assuming they committed a crime. I have heard, look, I have for my entire life, I'm 41 years old. For my entire life, I have heard chirping from the European media about everything that's wrong with the United States of America. We don't have this. We don't have that.
Chirping.
We don't spend enough on health care, even though part of the reason why we spend so much on defense was because we have tens of thousands of troops in Europe. I think that if the European media wants to attack the President of the United States, they need to start looking in the mirror. All he has said is that we're going to be good allies, we're going to be good friends, we're going to be trading partners, but it is reasonable for Europe to take a little bit more ownership over its continental integrity. Look, I have for my entire particularly disgusting. The principle of religious violence is particularly disgusting.
This must have been a question on San Diego.
Especially in the United States of America. And as a devout Christian, I would say it's one of the most anti-Christian things and anti-American things that you could do. And here's why. One, because a fundamental principle of all the great faiths is we are all children of God. And because of that, we are endowed by certain rights that are unique to our status as human beings. You violate those rights, most importantly, when you commit violence against another person. You can violate them in other ways as well, but the most profound way to violate the fundamental right of human dignity is to commit violence. But here's why the religious piece of it is particularly egregious. One of the fundamental American rights that I think came from our Christian heritage as a civilization is the idea that we respect people's religious freedom, in part because we respect them as human beings, but also because we respect their right to find their own pathway to God. You can't force anybody to a pathway to God. They have to, through their own free will, find God themselves. That's one of the reasons why that right of religious freedom is the very first right enshrined in our Constitution. So when you commit acts of violence, you're committing an act against this fundamental idea that people are created in the image of God and that they have the right, through their own free will, to find God however they might want. And as a Christian, of course, you might have your preference for how they find their pathway to God. They have to find that choice. And anybody who would commit violence against another human being in the name of religion is, I think, doing something that is a violation, of course, of the laws of man, but I think more importantly, it is a fundamental violation of the laws of God.
they showed a lot of stock trades in companies that he has talked up at events, official events at the White House, on his True Social account, sometimes even putting the stock ticker symbols in his posts and encouraging people to buy their stock. Americans, according to recent polling, are increasingly describing the president as corrupt. And trading stocks...
This is a hell of a question.
Thank you, sir. Trading individual stocks is something that you said that public officials should not be able to do when you ran for Senate all those years ago. And yet the president, who arguably has access to more non-public information than your average senator, is not only buying and selling individual stocks either through his trust.
Okay. What's the question?
The question is, the question, sir, is how can you and your administration argue to Americans that you're cleaning up corruption, you're preventing fraud, you're fighting the sorts of things that harm people and people's financial situations, when the president seems to be talking up stocks that he owns, selling them, and enriching himself?
Okay, so here, let me answer your question here. That was a doozy. Before I answer your question, I want to just observe there are different ways to ask a question. Okay, you could just ask a question, try to get your answer, or you could do like a speech where you say, you know, Mr. Vice President, you're a terrible human being, and so is the president, so is the entire cabinet, and then I'm like, what's your question? And then your question is, how dare you? Come on, man. Have a little bit of objectivity in the way that you ask these questions, because there were a lot of things in that speech masquerading as a question that didn't actually get asked, okay? Number one, the president doesn't sit at the Oval Office on his computer on his like Robinhood account buying and selling stocks. That's absurd. He has independent wealth advisors who manage his money. He is a wealthy...
Sorry, I missed the first half of it. Interacting with something.
Person. He has had success in business. He's not making these stock trades himself. And your question...
That would person implied?
Imputes that. It doesn't say it exactly, but a reasonable person listening to that question would assume the president is sitting around and doing that. He's not. Second of all,
what is he alleged to have been buying?
Right. I'm a big fan of banning members of Congress from trading stocks. So is the President of the United States. All of us believe that nobody should be taking proprietary information gained from public service and buying and selling stocks. We want to ban that process. And I think the way to lead by example is banning that process, banning that approach, and making it illegal, which is exactly what the president has proposed doing.
I got to see if I can catch the question now.
The president's financial disclosures were released recently, and they showed a lot of stock trades in
yeah, he does do that.
Companies that he has talked up at events, official events at the White House, on his True Social account, sometimes even putting the stock ticker symbols in his posts and encouraging people to buy their stock. Americans, according to recent...
That is not the same thing as insider trading, but okay.
Polling are increasingly describing the president.
And it is something that presidents have done for a long time. A really long time.
As corrupt. And trading stocks...
This is a hell of a question.
No, trading stocks is not illegal, guy.
Question.
Thank you, sir.
Insider trading, as in directly sure he gave a much better definition than I will, but like directly profiting off of actual inside knowledge unavailable to the public, that's illegal. Investing in the companies and telling people that they should also invest in them, that is ridiculous.
Trading individual stocks is something that you said that public officials should not be able to do when you ran for Senate all those years ago. And yet the president, who arguably has access to more non-public information than your average senator, is not only buying and selling individual stocks either...
Like what? I want to know what.
through his trust.
Okay. What's the question?
The question, sir, is how can you and your administration argue to Americans that you're cleaning up corruption, you're
just like you're building up this straw man that it's corrupt without saying why it's corrupt. Why is it corrupt to trade a stock?
Seem to have committed immigration.
Really?
Let's go. Is that Reagan all the way in the back? Daily Caller? There we go. Okay.
Awesome.
I figured out finally how this seating chart works.
I want to ask you about the anti-fraud task force. You previously mentioned that Ilhan Omar seemed to have...
Like what is I'm sorry, but like what is Trump investing in, like Nvidia? Like a retard could do that. A retard could look at Nvidia and say, oh yeah, I should probably invest in that for like the next 10 years. Like
committed immigration fraud. Do you anticipate an indictment against her, an indictment related to that situation?
Yeah, so Reagan, I don't want to prejudge an investigation. I mean, you read the things about Ilhan Omar and about, you know, who she married and whether she didn't marry this person or that person. It certainly seems like something fishy is there, but everybody's entitled to equal justice under the laws. So we're going to investigate it. We're going to take a look at it. If we think that there's a crime, we're going to prosecute that crime, and that's something the Department of Justice is looking at right now.
Mr. Vice President.
There's corruption. I got to see this whole. Sounds like this is. What was it they called it? Financial disclosure. Short one. Not a 12-minute one. That's 8. Oh. Minutes. Filters. Short. In. AI slop? Nope. All right, I guess we're going with the short one.
Newly released financial disclosures show that President Donald Trump bought stakes worth millions of dollars in American companies directly involved in business deals tied to his administration. Now, these documents show that President Trump purchased up to $1 million worth of shares in the chipmaker NVIDIA in January.
Oh my God, seriously? That's it?
Just before the Commerce Department approved the sale of that.
I'm sorry, but again, like a fucking retard could have looked at it, and I guarantee you millions of them probably have looked at NVIDIA and said, oh gee, that's a stock I should buy.
Companies' products to China. The disclosures also show major investments in other companies involved in dealings with the administration, including Boeing, Palantir, and Intel. The White House referred ABC News to the Trump Organization for comment, which said the accounts are managed by third.
Jeez. Okay. Victim Mastermind. Oh, more on Amy Bach. Fraud.
The Justice Department wants Amy Bach to spend 50 years behind bars, saying this, that she, quote, took advantage of a once-in-a-century global pandemic. Now, the Mastermind's defense team says that she should get credit for handing over documents that helped convict her co-conspirators. They're hoping for about 3 years in jail. Before she was convicted, Amy Bach told Fox News that state officials, like Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison, probably knew what was going on the whole time. The Justice Department wants Amy Bach to spend 50 years behind bars, saying this, that she, quote, took advantage of a once-in-a-century global pandemic. Now, the
soon.
The president.
given that you've spent months
waiting to see action,
trying to encourage, persuade the president to endorse John Cornyn in the Texas primary, and given that the NRSC has invested heavily to help Cornyn win that primary, how personally disappointed or frustrated are you with the president's decision to endorse Ken Paxton today?
Well, I think you all know my position on this issue. I've made it very clear for months now. And Senator Cornyn is a principled conservative. He is a very effective senator for the state of Texas. But none of us control what the president does. He made his decision about that. That doesn't change the way I feel. I am certainly supportive of, will continue to be supportive of Senator Cornyn and his reelection.
How much harder has he made it to keep the majority? How much harder has the president's decision here made it for you, the number one job, to keep the Republican majority, given your concerns about Ken Paxton's viability as a candidate?
We look at lots of races around the country, and the majority runs through a lot of different states. We have 24 seats up this time. The Democrats have only 9, so we've got a lot more ground to defend. We also have a couple of offensive opportunities. So, one state doesn't determine the outcome of this election, but obviously we care about every state, and we care about helping see our incumbents succeed. That being said, I feel very good about where we are. As I've said before, I think when it comes to winning elections, it starts with quality candidates. Then you got to have a record of accomplishment to run on. You've got to have resources to get that message out, tell that story to the American people. And then you've got to have a really substantial effort to get out the vote, a ground game. And I feel confident in all those elements in all the key states where we're going to have competitive elections this year. And I'm very confident we'll hang on and maybe even expand the majority of the United States Senate, which is counter, I know, to the, sort of the narrative these days. But the truth of the matter is, we've got the right candidates in the right places at the right time, and with the right resources, we're going to win some races.
U.S. has seized Iran-linked oil tanker Skywave right here.
Why did you vote for the? Don't forget that you come over away with tears. Senator Booker, why did you vote for the Lincoln Riley bill? I'm from West Virginia. Why did you vote for the Lincoln Riley bill? Somebody that knows what it is to stand up against the heckle and cruelty.
Why did you vote to deport our neighbors? Why did you vote? He voted for the Lincoln Riley bill? How dare he?
Why did you vote for the Lincoln?
Did he really? I didn't know that.
Somebody that knows what it is to stand up against the heckle and cruelty and violence. If you are here, all right. Somebody that knows what it is to keep going when others tell you to stop. Someone that knows what it is to keep fighting even when you're tired and you're weary.
Someone who's protecting New Yorkers' rights and freedoms. And I'm passing the mic to someone who has given New York farmers.
Oh, she's still out there doing it, huh?
I'm passing the mic to someone who's protecting New Yorkers' rights and freedoms. And I'm passing the mic to someone who has given New York farmers and agricultural producers a voice in Washington.
I'm passing the mic to someone who has spent her career blazing trails for badass women leaders.
I'm passing the mic to someone who secured free school meals for all New York students and put money back into New Yorkers' pockets.
I'm passing the mic to someone who always stands up to Trump's attacks and calls out his BS.
That's all of us.
Now what? Oh, really? Yesterday. Expect the Justice Department tomorrow, Wednesday, unseal an indictment against Raul Castro, brother of Bill.
Meanwhile, one more story to go, a story we broke here this morning. We expect the Justice Department on Wednesday to unseal an indictment against Raul Castro, the brother of the late revolutionary leader of Cuba, Fidel Castro. He'll be charged, we believe, with authorizing the downing of 2 American humanitarian airplanes back in 1996, back when Bill Clinton was president. People have been outraged in the Cuban-American expat community for decades that no justice occurred for the shooting down of those 2 American aircraft, which killed 3 American citizens and 1 American lawful resident. But we believe it's going to happen on Wednesday. And the reason the case suddenly got from cold case to indictment is because of Donald Trump's border policies. Here's a little ditty. Last year, the Trump border enforcement people arrested a Cuban Air Force pilot. He was retired. He had been let into the country by Joe Biden's administration, even though there were concerns he may have participated in that 1996 downing of those 2 airplanes. Well, President Trump rounded him up, arrested him, charged him, at least his Justice Department did, out of Miami, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Miami. And now they have all the leads they need to make an indictment against the 94-year-old Raul Castro. By the way, if that indictment does come up and is handed up on Wednesday, Raul Castro will be one of the oldest defendants ever to face justice in American judicial history. We'll have you up to speed on that. We'll be covering all of that live on Wednesday here at Just the News and Real America's Voice.
Oh, thank you for mentioning. Dropping her. Asking everyone to helps. Oh, it looks like someone tossed like $100 total or something in their lease since yesterday. That's something. Gonna be going soon. Ready. Monthly coming up. Oh. Please, if anyone can support us, hurt and bad, now would be time. Ask often. I've asked, well, a fair amount, like 4 days. Blowing. Waiting. What is what the fuck? That's a Mexican dressed up as Minnie Mouse. A Mexican man smoking a cigarette. Oh my gosh. Hey, man. Oh, the twerking girl. What's her name?
Well, twerking her way into office. At least that's the
Idiotic girl. Campbell. What's Madison Campbell?
hope for a local want-to-be politician. Her TikTok videos might make you blush, but they're gaining some serious traction tonight.
I am an ethical person.
Do you think that twerking is going to get people to the polls? Pardon the pun.
Oh, I know.
I see what you did there.
Literally. Yeah, honestly, like I said, men are kind of, we all know how they are. Look at the men that are in power now.
Congressional hopeful Shelby Campbell says sex sells, twerking for your vote in the 13th district.
I'm classy. I'm classy. Am I not? I don't do OnlyFans like everybody just keeps saying.
What's the difference?
I was just having fun. You know, I'm young and I'm taking advantage of social media.
She says she's got booty and brains. A law student, mom of 2, and former line worker.
A mother?
Now making cheeks blush across TikTok in an attempt to clench votes. One of the videos surfaced said, I'm a great, but would you know a if you saw one?
Yeah.
What was behind all that?
They were calling me a so I just like to be sarcastic. And if you're going to call me names, I'm going to make you
told you that.
You feel awkward for doing so. Like, I'm just going to dish it back because why do you think you can talk to me like that? You know,
her opponent.
Why do you think you can publicly address large platforms on which children happen to reside?
Incumbent
with such words. Why? What?
Congressman Shri Tanadar, who's
because someone called you the C word, you now just go plaster the C word everywhere so everyone gets to hear it nonstop?
Campaign strategy is, let's say, more traditional. What's your thoughts on him?
I just want younger people in office, and he's a millionaire, so I don't have that. And
he's also retarded, but
he does, so it's
clearly not going to win the race there either.
Very hard for him to relate to the people.
Doubling down on the critics with more posts to come. Can we expect more maybe controversial videos from your TikTok?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. I have to keep it going a little bit. Like,
she is running as an independent. We reached.
Good golly. They didn't even show the worst of it. What is her name again?
Down to the Tanadar campaign for comment. We are waiting to hear back.
Yeah, this one. They didn't even show the bad stuff. Oh, I was about to get into it. Oh, is this live? They got a live feed of this? Oh my gosh. In some of these, she straight up just shows her coochie. Like, jams it into the camera. Straight up. Not kidding you. It was disgusting. Like, I was disturbed. It was bad enough it had to be bleeped out, like, presumably by her. The candidate for office. It's just... Oh, Tommy Dillon's team just argued in federal court to uncover California and Oregon voter rolls. Good.
Hi, I'm here outside the very beautiful Pasadena courthouse where the Ninth Circuit just held oral argument on two important cases under the Civil Rights Act of 1960 regarding both Oregon and California's refusal of the United States Department of Justice Civil Rights Division request to get the voter rolls from each of these two states so that we can help these states comply with the National Voter Registration Act and the Help America Vote Act. I want to introduce the incredible team who argued these cases today. Andrew Braniff argued the Oregon appeal, and Jim Tucker helped both of my colleagues here prepare, as well as prepare for answers to questions that the court asked during the oral argument. And then finally, David Goldman, who just finished arguing the California appeal. And we're expecting probably from some of the questions of the court a consolidated ruling on both of these appeals. What's at stake is the ability of the United States to exercise its right under the Civil Rights Act to obtain voter records and make sure that states are not violating the rights of citizens, refusing to keep accurate voter rolls under our federal voting statutes, and are just treating people fairly so that we can all believe in the outcome of our elections. So stay tuned for more on the appeals in this particular 2 cases, as well as some others happening around the country. Thanks.
Hey. What meow? Excuse me. San Diego police flat out refusing to name yesterday. What? Allegedly because it was a trans couple. Really? That would explain a lot. Okay.
What you will not hear from us today is the names of these 2 suspects. Today is about our victims in our community coming back together again.
I don't know. It would conflict with stumbled on earlier, but white kid. They were definitely. They seem to be young men. I don't know. Entirely sure.
There has been a manifesto that's been recovered. I would reiterate it's early on in the investigation. We are dedicating every resource the FBI has to conduct a thorough analysis of that manifesto to try to learn what led to this, but I think also more importantly, how can we stop future attacks? So I know there's a lot of questions related to this on the community. What I would just continue to reiterate is they didn't discriminate on who they hated. It covered a wide aspect of races and religions.
More than just the Islamic people in that church.
Correct.
No.
Correct.
But Special Agent, they nevertheless, in a city that's majority white, specifically picked out a site where they knew there would be immigrants, where they knew there would be Muslims. That doesn't seem to suggest respectfully that they hated everybody equally.
I would say we're still too early in the investigation to say that the Islamic Center of San Diego was the specific target. We are assessing and analyzing all the evidence. Again, it's very early. We're still looking through electronics to give us the answers. But again, what I can say is they definitely had a broad hatred towards a lot of folks.
Oh, Hakeem.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Let me thank Chairwoman Yvette.
Oh, this is like 5 whole ass minutes on whatever the SCORE Act is. Okay, so the identities, there's the names again. Kane Clark and Caleb Velasquez. Can't really tell if the trans couple. Those images definitely look different. I don't know, maybe. COVID antitrust indictment.
2 years, 245 days. Today, the Department of Justice is unsealing an indictment charging 7 Chinese executives and 4 of the largest shipping container manufacturers with conspiring to fix prices in violation of antitrust laws. Collectively, the Chinese conspirators manufacture about 95% of the world's standard dry shipping containers. These charges arise from a conspiracy to restrict the output and fix prices of shipping containers at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Shipping containers are key to transporting billions of dollars of goods to Americans every year.
Heck of a racket to be.
Around the start of the global pandemic, these manufacturers exploited the crisis and their market power to squeeze the supply chain for profit. Wow. Through coordinated agreements, including the use of video cameras to monitor production lines and prices, this Chinese cartel dramatically raised the prices of shipping containers between 2019 and 2021. These companies were rewarded handsomely. Their profits increased nearly 100-fold, receiving
what the heck?
Over 11 billion won at the expense of American businesses seeking to transport goods from China. The Justice Department is committed to prosecuting criminals who harm Americans domestically and abroad. We are holding these Chinese bad actors accountable for exploiting the pandemic to fill their own coffers, and this Justice Department will continue to vigorously enforce.
From the only one. All right. Well, pardon me. Excuse me again. That does it for your the doing, sir.
Howdy. I'm blessed. How are you?
Blessed indeed. Good to see your face, man.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for. They held the fort down for me last week. I had to go to a school banquet, so.
Hey, that's fun. That's cool.
Yeah, happy to be back.
Well, I'll let you get to it. All you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, back at you, brother. Have a
Yes,
good show.
sir. All right. God bless you. All right. Hello.
I'm out. We'll back tomorrow. We'll get a bite to eat. Plate was. I'll catch you guys.